We are live, and I am here with Michael Chandler's favorite fighter, the number 14 ranked featherweight in the UFC, the most exciting fighter in the whole fucking sport of mixed martial arts, and most importantly, an absolute gentleman and the PFL's newest signee, the Hurricane, Shane Burgos. Shane, good to see you, brother.
My man, that was quite the fucking intro. That might have been one of the best intros in an interview I think I've ever had. So
You deserve it, bro. You always bring it every time you fight. The first time I ever got to meet Shane face to face, we were like, what, 13?
16.
At the Arnold Sports
Yeah,
Festival, you came to grapple at the tournament in Ohio.
yeah, yep.
Remember?
Yes, yes. I think you might have been 13. I think. How old are you now?
I'm 29, you're 31, so maybe
Yeah,
you're 15.
yeah. I think I was 16 and you were
14 then.
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We're still young, bro. I think you're kind of in your prime right now, Shane. Would you agree with that?
For sure. These are my best years are still ahead of me. 100%. Obviously, everyone's gonna say that, but I really do feel it. I feel like I'm still getting better. I'm still improving between fights and in fight camps. So yeah, the
I
world has
can
Shane
I can
Burgos.
see it. I could see it. Like a runner's prime, they say is like 29. You know, you at 31, I feel like you got the right experience now, Shane. I mean, what makes you in your prime? What makes you feel like you're better than ever right now?
Physically, I'm the strongest I've ever been. I by far. I mean, everybody talks about the dad strength, and I feel like having two kids now, especially two girls, I really get that dad strength going on now.
You got some motivation, man. You got some mouths to feed. You got some eyeballs looking at you when you come home. A little more responsibility. Yeah. What does that change mentally?
100%. I said it on Ariel's show. Like when all is said and done in the sport, when I'm done with it, I have to look my kids in the face, my wife in the face, and say, you know what, it was worth it. And with this deal that I secured with the PFL, it's worth it now. I can say that. I know I'll be able to say that when I'm done.
Well, so when you did go on Ariel's show, you were actually talking before the ink was dried, which I was like, come on, Shane, don't mess this up. I hope it goes through. I hope it's all good. I saw the PFL send a tweet out. The ink has dried. Can
Yep,
you confirm, are you officially a PFL fighter?
100%, man. I got the shirt. I got everything. Sent me a nice package, so it's official.
I love it, man. That's phenomenal. Shane, talk to me about the PFL a little bit then. Like, when did you start watching PFL? So let me back up a little bit. Shane Burgos was the biggest Crow Cop fan to ever live. Is the
Yeah,
biggest Crow
still,
Cop fan? You're
yeah,
still a fan
yeah, of course, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
till you die.
yeah,
Okay, so you watch MMA like a fiend, like me. We used to debate on MySpace, back when MySpace was a thing, and we had a group, MMA Fanatics. So
yeah,
shout out to Derek and everybody at MMA Fanatics. They're gonna love this shit.
yes.
And
That's so funny.
Caesar,
Yeah,
who else? I mean, we're missing some people, but big shout out to all
King
them,
Eddie.
right?
Yep.
It's a part of your origins, Shane, because you started out as the biggest fan in the
Yeah.
world, just like me. How much of a fan are you of the sport today? How much PFL do you watch? And just talk about the PFL as an organization a little bit. What do you like?
I mean, first and foremost, what I love about the PFL is, aside from, I mean, it's the land opportunity. I mean, you get to have sponsors still. I mean, there's a lot of sources of revenue where you can get some money, get some real money in there. So I do love that. But I love that it's a clear cut path to the title. There's a clear cut path to that $1 million, that life changing money. You have your two season fights, you rack up your points, you get
Right.
seeded, and then you win 3 fights, and you're a millionaire. You win the fuck. I mean, it's clear cut. There's no politicking. There's no well, this guy sells more tickets or this guy sells more pay per views. It's the best fighters are fighting the best fighters, and it's a clear cut path to changing your life. So I do love that about the PFL. As far as how much of a fan I am of the sport, still, I mean, I bleed fucking MMA, man. Like I used to have a T-shirt when I was a teenager that said that, and it's still true today. Like I got to be involved in this sport until the day I die. With either competing in it, commentating on it, coaching, just watching it. There, eat, sleep, and breathe the sport. I fucking love it.
So we used to watch from the outside, right? Nowadays, I work for Bellator. You're a PFL fighter just coming out of the UFC. Is it what you expected?
Is what being in the UFC?
is being a professional mixed martial arts
Uh,
fighter, the business side of this sport, like what's different, I guess, is another way to ask, from when you were a 15,
yeah,
16-year-old kid, right? To
yeah,
now, well, you kind of see
yeah,
Ariel said this quote. Now we're talking about Ariel again, how the sausage gets made. What have you learned? What do you see that's different from that fan, that 16-year
yeah.
old fan of Shane Burgos? What did he not know?
Great question. You don't know how much goes into a fight camp. You don't know how much goes into a weight cut. You don't like fans. We only see 15, like especially being when I was 15, 16 years old. You only see 15 minutes max. Maybe it's even shorter. Maybe it's a 1 round fight, 2 round fight. You only see that little tiny piece. But a fight camp is fucking huge.
Right.
It's weeks in the making, and it's grueling. It's monotonous. The dieting is very meticulous. It's not it's not all that it's chalked up to be. I mean, I love it, 100% love it. I'm not trying to downplay it or anything, but I'm saying it's way more than meets the eye. If you guys see the guy getting their hand raised and he's the man for that 15 minutes because he just won that fight, best feeling in the world, the highest high, the best feeling you could ever feel. But they react that way when they get their hand raised because of how much they put into those weeks leading up, how much they put into the dieting, the weight cut, how much they put into their training, their sleep, all that shit is just adds up. So when those guys fucking go crazy after winning, and we all see that when we're teenagers, we're like, we want to feel that. It's because he's finally letting it go. It's like, holy shit, all that I just did finally paid off. So you don't really realize that when you're 15 years old. I mean, even if you, as a regular fan, just nobody realizes how much goes into a 15-minute fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, especially your 15-minute fights. You're not holding nobody down. You're going for it, man. Beautiful win over Billy Quarantillo. But going back to what you just said, I always say it's the hardest job in the world. Like being a professional fighter is a lifestyle, mentally, physically. I mean, you have to give
Yeah,
everything. You're a professional fighter. Would you agree? This is the hardest thing
yeah,
somebody could do.
100%. I remember back in the day, I mean, when I first started watching, everyone would say the sport is 90% mental. The sport is 90% mental. And I remember being a teenager being like, what the fuck are you guys? It's 90% mental. I was like, you guys are.
Shane, I lost your audio. Shane, I lost your audio, brother.
You hear me now?
Now you're back. Now you're back.
Okay.
90% mental, they used to say. I've heard that too. You didn't believe it at first.
Yeah, I didn't believe it at first because you see guys just beating each other up and you're like, how the hell is this mental? This is 100% physical. No, man, you can break somebody just by being fucking confident. And then the amount that goes in, like I said, that goes into the training to be mentally strong enough just to get through that, to make it to the fight is so fucking mental. And then the dieting, the weight cut is so mental. This sport is fucking mental. Yeah.
Yeah, no question about it. I like a Phil Davis quote. I actually, to full disclosure, I saw this on the first ever UFC game. It used to show the quotes, and it would say, "You can't do anything physically until you can do it mentally first." I really liked that quote
That's
because
a great quote.
really, right? Anything
Yeah.
you accomplish, any workout you do, first you got to have the mindset to show up. How'd you
Yep.
get so fucking disciplined, bro? Because you are one of the let's say one of the biggest 145ers in the world. It's hard for you to make
Yeah.
145. And you come in nasty shape and you bring a hellacious fight. Something about you is mentally different than the average human, Shane.
I didn't think so until I seen the way I fight. I'm like, oh yeah, not everybody fights like me. Yeah, I guess I am a little bit different. my training, I mean, we come from my gym started out as a karate gym, so karate starts it off as just revolving around discipline. So we kind of we kept that discipline aspect and put it into MMA, and I feel like that's a huge part, like showing up on time and doing the extra work, and that it doesn't matter how you feel, you're doing your fucking cardio, you're doing the shit that you don't want to do, you're doing the things that make you uncomfortable, and just having that discipline to instilled in me in training has really paid off. Obviously, Tiger Showman's, I've been with the same team since I was 15 years old. So I feel like that karate background, that discipline aspect of it is not as big anymore in the sport of MMA. Like a lot of guys are running their own show, and I mean, like a lot of fighters, like the camps revolve around them, and they're deciding when they come in, they're deciding when they're going to do this or what they're going to do. And I don't have that. My coach tells me what to do, and I'm like, all right, oops.
Hey man, you always get it done. So does your brother too. Shout out to your brother who's coming up on the scene. People got to keep their eyes out for him. I want to talk about this switch again. Dana White did an interview with Kevin Iole. He also did, he talked about you at the press conference. Everybody's asking him about this switch. He said, "We fucked that one up." It's a direct quote. He told Kevin Iole, big mistakes were made here in not keeping you. Obviously, you and your manager are the ones who really saw what was going on throughout this whole ordeal. When Dana says that they fucked up and big mistakes were made here, what big mistakes do you think Dana is talking about?
I don't know. I won't ask my manager on that one. It's not my job to know the mistakes that they made. I mean, or maybe ask Dana what exactly. I would love to hear him elaborate on what mistakes he thinks it was, just out of curiosity. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, I said it in another interview too. Like, it was super flattering to hear what he had to say, because like usually when guys leave, he doesn't really have much to say about him. But like, he left me a voicemail too, which was a fucking awesome voicemail. Like,
no way.
Yeah, thanking me for the fights that I put on, and said he had nothing but respect for me. It was a really nice voicemail. I spoke to him a little bit, so that was awesome.
No
but
way.
yeah, I mean, the deal that I got from PFL, I mean, I don't know how the UFC would have been able to match it, honestly.
PFL really brought out the checkbook for you, bro. That's beautiful. Yeah, I hear just how happy you are with the deal. So I don't know the number, but I can see the satisfaction on your face. So man, it's awesome. You deserve it, like I said. All right. So we don't know what mistakes were made. Can I speculate? You just tell me to shut up if you don't want to talk about this. But it seems to me that they sort of gave you a shot to hear other offers. And sometimes before the contract is up, the UFC will offer you another one. Maybe they could have offered you another contract before the contract is up, and that's what he was talking about.
That might have been it, because this was the last fight of my deal, and I didn't get any notice from the UFC or from my manager about signing a new deal. I kind of just went into the fight, did the fight, and then was like, all right, I think maybe they knew that I planned on doing the free agency or fighting the contract out, but yeah, I don't know why they didn't offer me a fight before, or sorry, not a fight, offer me a new deal going into this one, because they had done that before in the past.
And at the press conference, Dana's like, yeah, we're keeping Shane Burgos. You remember that? The first thing he said, he's like, oh, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get this kid done next week. Shane signs with PFL. So, you rained on Dana's parade. No, I really like the respect that Dana showed you, man. That's very, very cool, because, you hear other fighters who butt heads with Dana. I like to see the respect he gives you, because he likes good fights. Dana White.
Yeah,
Dana White wants to see people go toe to toe and have fights like a Shane Burgos fight. When fans show up, especially in New York where you're undefeated, they love seeing you on the card. They know that they're not going to go to the bathroom during a Shane Burgos fight. That has to bring value to you. It seems like right now you're at your maximum value ever. Shane, if you win this PFL tournament, it's going to be a whole other level of your value, man. I think you could, definitely ask for more the next time around. Let me ask you about that PFL roster. You're going to be at 145. Brendan Lockney, Bubba Jenkins, Lance Palmer, Chris Wade, Boston Salmon, Shaman Marias, Raji Kudo, I'm messing that up, Kyle Bochniak, Alejandro Flores, Ronaldo Exon. I'm sure you've looked through the roster a little bit. Give me your impressions on your competition, and specifically, who's the toughest fight for Shane Burgos at 145?
I mean, all those guys. I'm not trying to fucking sugarcoat. I mean, the PFL has a fucking legit roster of talent. I mean, you look at the guys, the top four guys that are in right now. I think it's Kudo, Jenkins, Locknane, and Wade. All four of those guys are legit guys that could compete in the UFC right now. The toughest fight, man. All four of those fights are not easy fights. That I really don't think. But even the guys that are outside of those fights aren't easy fights. So
right.
I can't think of who would be the toughest one. Let's see who wins the tournament this year, and then I guess we'll call him the toughest one, right?
Right. They'll decide themselves, huh? Okay. So I think there's a lot of exciting matchups though for you, man. I think those are all fun fights, right? Fights that I could imagine you trying to finish.
Of course, yeah. That's the thing with the PFL. I mean, you get more points, you get a higher seed if you finish. I mean, you get a first round finish, you get what is that, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, and then you get a second round finish, you get 5 points. You get a third round finish, you get 4 points. You win the decision, you get 3 points. So it's very it incentivizes you to get finishes and to get finishes early. So it forces the fighters to, in a way, like, remember with Pride, we had the yellow cards and stuff like that. It's kind of like a new age yellow card where you're not giving yellow cards. You're just not necessarily rewarding the guys for getting the decisions. But but that's the thing. You don't want to give out yellow cards, because even if you got a guy that's winning a decision, that doesn't mean it was a boring fight at all. I mean, I've had some decisions that I wouldn't call boring. So
that's for sure. That's definitely for sure. Yeah, so it sounds like you're motivated by that point system. It sounds like you are about to respond to that point system by trying to get these guys out of there.
Of course, yeah. And then another thing is you're fighting. What is it, like every 6, 7, 8 weeks or something like that. So you don't want to have a fucking war. I mean, I'm known for those wars. I never look for them. I never look for them. It just happens that way. But I'm not looking for them going into PFL. I'm looking for them even less actually, because I got to fight again right after that.
Makes sense. Yeah, so you kind of want to get in and out, you know?
Of course. You got. Let me think about it. I'm having 5 fights next year. I'm gonna have 5 fights within like 8 months. So that's a lot of fucking fights. Yeah.
Most of your career it would be, yeah.
Yeah.
You've never been that active before.
I was that active when I was amateur going into pro. I had 5 fights in a calendar year. That's 6 fights actually in a calendar year. So that was super active for me. But that was, again, I was back in the day with like amateur going into pro, and I wasn't cutting as much weight as I'm cutting now. So that'll be a fun challenge. And that's what I like about it too. I mean, it's a new challenge for me. It's forcing me to be active. I have no choice. I got to be super disciplined with my diet in between the fights too. So that offers the whole season format offers a whole new challenge, and I'm excited to try that out too.
Do we have a rough idea of a month, a date for a first fight?
Yeah, it's looking like either before the end of the year. I'm thinking November.
Nice.
So I'm thinking that they have a card in November. I'm not sure the exact date. I'm not sure exactly where, but I know they want me on that one.
I mean, it only makes sense to put you in New York. I should know this. Does PFL go to New York? I mean,
they do.
It's kind of your spot.
Yeah, they were just in New York last week, or the week before last. I think 2 weeks ago. Pettis fought Stevie Ray there, so they were just in New York not that long ago. If they're gonna go to New York, then I gotta put something in my deal where I get a commission off the ticket sales or something like that.
Yeah, bro. Well, you were the ink hadn't dried yet.
I know.
You could have thrown it in, brother.
I was like, fuck. I should have thought of
that. It sounds like they took care of you anyway. Yeah, you sell crazy tickets in New York. I know they love you in New York. What, 7-0 in New York?
Yeah, man, 7-0 in New York. Yeah, crazy. And when I started this sport, it wasn't even legal in New York.
Right. Oh, I remember. I don't know if you saw my video. I did one on Deborah Glick, one of the politicians who went up there and spoke against mixed martial arts. She compared it to public hangings, Shane. I mean, how far has this sport come from the comparisons to public hangings to like you're fighting on ESPN, you know?
Yeah. It's mainstream now. I mean, this is the sport is blew up within. It's such a young sport, and you see even the talent blowing up. Like you look at the guys that were fighting in like UFC 30, UFC 40, then UFC 100. Now the talent is like, it's fucking crazy. You got guys like my brother who started training when he was 5 years old.
Yeah, and complete mixed martial arts, right? I guess you could say the same thing about you. Back when we were maybe at our peak fanhood, right? When we were teenagers, you know, everybody was a specialist coming in, right? Fedor did Sambo. Randy Couture was a Greco-Roman wrestler.
Yeah.
You guys are starting with MMA now.
Yeah,
I mean, how much better are fighters in 2022? A lot?
You know this, bro. That's a rhetorical question. It's not even comparable. Like you got like if you did like remember when they did
go ahead.
You remember the Rocky movie when they made like Rocky versus, I think it's the latest Rocky, when they did Rocky versus I think it was Antonio Tarver, and then like he got all mad about it.
Yes.
In the video game he lost to Rocky. Like it would never happen where you get an old school fighter versus a new school fighter in the same weight class that would win. I can't see whoever the champion is now. They wouldn't be the champion back then. Couldn't even go around with them.
Can I push back?
Please.
Glover Teixeira was just the light heavyweight champion, dude. Glover Teixeira. Yeah. You don't think a prime Chuck Liddell, a prime Randy Couture can compete with Glover Teixeira, 42-year-old Glover Teixeira being the light heavyweight champion of the world? Before you even respond, I really believe your weight class is a great example, right? 145, 155. You could even say maybe 170, although I think George St. Pierre beats Kamaru Usman. Just my opinion. Prime George. I feel like some of these heavier weight classes they have room to go. I feel like it's a much more progress at your weight.
Yeah, that was a great point, but I still think Glover Teixeira, I mean, he's made, like, you never see guys in their 40s making strides like that. The guy's gotten better.
Randy Couture, but yeah, sure.
All right. Yeah, I guess. Okay, all right, you bring up valid points. All right, you bring up valid points. So it's debatable. All right, I'll give you that.
I mean, that's what we used to do, right? We used to just debate, right?
I respect it. I respect it.
That's
Hey,
the
it's
MMA
a valid
Fanatics
point.
page. I'm almost about to let you go, so let me say this. You want to do commentary. You know your boy. That is my thing, bro. I've done
Love it.
commentary on UFC Fight Pass. I've done commentary for XFL, HFC. Before I die in this lifetime, I got to do commentary with my man Shane Burgos. Can we make it happen
For
sometime?
sure. But you let me fucking know the place, the time, and the paycheck, and I'm down.
I was just talking to AJ McKee's dad, Antonio McKee. We might make something happen with their promotion. I probably
Awesome.
shouldn't have said that out loud on a live broadcast, but oh well. You know, I definitely want to I definitely want to go ahead and keep doing that on the mic, and I appreciate you jumping on and doing the same
For
thing.
sure.
Houdini Beats, he wishes Shane the best of luck in the PFL. I hope
Thanks.
we see him in the UFC at some point again. Hey guys, Shane is only 31 years old. Who knows what the future holds for him? Shane, I appreciate you coming by so much, dude. It is so good to see you. I always say this, but Huntington Beach, California, when it gets cold out there on the East Coast, brother, love to see you in person for an interview sometime, and we could go train somewhere. You are an absolute gentleman, absolute class act. Shane Burgos, best of luck in the PFL, my friend.
My man, I appreciate you. And this is crazy. Like I said, you said it off air. I've known you since I was, 16, 15, 14 years old. And you used to just argue with each other like little kids debating about the sport. Now look where we are. I mean, crazy. I'm on your show now. It's wild. Back in the MySpace days, no, I never thought. I mean, you always hoped that you would be in that position, but it's like, holy shit, I'm actually in that position now doing this interview. It's fucking awesome. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah,
Keep fucking
it's
killing it. Keep
surreal,
doing your
right?
thing, all right?
I will, brother. Thank you. Shane, you do your thing as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the most exciting fighter in the game, Hurricane Shane Burgos. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
My man, my man. There he goes, ladies and